Hey, everybody, I've got a special guest. His name is Chris Galizio. He is making a movie about all of the madness that we are experiencing. It's called Money Games. And I'm going to let him lay it out because I do not want you to miss it. I'm going to share the screen in a minute so you can see what the cover of the movie is going to look like. But I'm excited. It should be a blockbuster. So, how are you doing, Chris?
I'm doing great. So, just for the audience, we met each other in New Orleans. Chris is here is obviously pretty jacked. He gave me this great book
All
to get
right.
myself all lean. But in the meantime, anyway, so I made a movie called Money Game, and the purpose of it is to show how by the Fed intervening in bond markets, they broke the ecosystem of capitalism. Here's the way we explained it in the movie. If you remove the lion's risk from the savannah, the gazelle population, passive investors would explode. And you've seen that the ecosystem of capitalism has shifted. Now, I am a former Fidelity fund manager. I ran a growth fund at Fidelity. I ran a hedge fund called Focus Capital. I started to realize that nothing makes sense anymore. Everyone sees that nothing makes sense, but no one really understands why it isn't making any sense. So I decided to make a movie about it. And what it is as the Fed intervened in bond markets, controlling interest rates, they drove interest rates down. And we all know that as interest rates go down, asset prices go up. And I can show you that mathematically. The value of $1 paid annually is 1 divided by interest rate. So if interest rates are 10%, 1 divided by 10% is $10. If the value falls from 1% if interest rates fall from 10% to 1%, now the value is $100. And if interest rates go negative, like they are today in real terms, all assets are worth infinite. So what you're seeing is the stock market trading at infinite. You're seeing things that don't make sense. Like GameStop is trading at, I would refer to as infinite. It hit 20 billion at one point, and we all know that nobody goes to GameStop anymore. We all buy our games online. So you saw AMC, the theater is closed, and the stock went to, again, $22 billion, AMC. Tesla hit $1 trillion, even though they lose money. Amazon actually lost, I think, $40 billion when you look at free cash flow last year. So we're seeing things that don't make sense anymore. And what I'm trying to show is that the ecosystem of capitalism changed. And here's what I mean by that. So when I started in the industry, maybe 5% of the market was quant and 10% was passive. Now 60% of the market is passive and 25% is quant. So 85% of the market no longer look at fundamentals. So what we do is we show in the movie, we're trying to show it. So the movie basically, so everyone knows, it's kind of like Goodwill Hunting because it's a mentor relationship. There's also a love story tied in. Meets the Wolf of Wall Street because this other guy in the movie is the CEO of the next big thing. It's called Tap It in the movie. It's kind of like Snapchat. And he's making hundreds of millions of dollars on his movie. Well, our lead character, James, struggles to make ends meet. He's got 2 daughters. He's a widowed father of 2. So Bryson in the movie is the CEO of Tapit, making hundreds of millions of dollars. Why? Because when interest rates went negative, all assets went infinite. So what we're doing is the money shifted from individuals to corporations, right? So I mean, obviously, none of this makes any sense. So that's what we were basically showing in the movie. We're showing how how by the Fed intervening in bond markets, they broke the ecosystem. Now the system is no longer a system that rewards companies that make profit. It's a system that rewards companies that need financing, which I think is very interesting. So,
Absolutely. That's going to be, it's going to be in a way where it really spells it out to everybody. And I'm sure it'll be entertaining. And because there's a lot of people that are just going, life is normal, laissez-faire. If it will, it will, whatever. But as we're seeing food prices creep up, crops fail. Barges are not going up and down the Mississippi. This is probably not going to be in the movie, but it is absolutely a part of the crash that's coming with the manipulated money market, with all of it happening. And it is really, it's like the perfect storm, and I cannot wait.
And it is actually in the movie. I mean, the theme of the movie is capitalism requires risk, interest rates to allocate scarce resources. When you remove risk from an ecosystem, the ecosystem changes. So what you're seeing is the entire system is no longer people. Everyone always says, well, people must be buying Tesla. It's not people anymore. It's quants and passive. It's machines. And why did the machines win? Not because they're better allocators of capital. They're actually worse allocators of capital, because what you're seeing is now our economy has all these shortages, right? We have shortages of everything. We have shortages of barges and energy and food and all these things. So when they removed risk, they broke the ecosystem. So also notice that productivity in May hit the lowest in the last 75 years. So that's the thing that people don't realize. So in the movie uses the five animals from the savannah to represent parts of the ecosystem. So for instance, they'll go to a movie. They'll see cheetah coin as they're going in, right? They're going to a concert actually. You'll see there's a advertisement on CNBC, on our CNBC in the movie, for rhino coin. Save the rhinos, and it's a gold coin, right? There's this algorithm. The professor says in the movie, the Reddit guys finally figured out how to trigger the stampede of algorithms, just aggregate a bunch of buyers. And then our lead character says, it's like waving a red flag in front of a bull, to which our professor says, bingo. So what they're just so the professor in our movie also says it's kind of like it's a bunch of followers, um, quant following followers, passive. It's like a cat chasing its tail. So the market's not thinking anymore. And when the market doesn't think anymore, the entire system starts to misallocate resources, the one animal you'll never see in our movie is the elephant, because it's the elephant in the room, and it's our lead character, and it's the real economy. So our real economy hasn't grown for years, as the Fed has intervened in markets and broke capitalism. And so that's really the story of the movie.
So you would agree that we're kind of in a zombie economy, kind of just it's not like it's supposed to be. We're in crony capitalism, and
Correct.
you've made a movie about it. I cannot wait to see it, Chris. It's going to be really neat.
I,
Uh,
and I love you say zombie, because 25% of the S&P 500 are considered zombie corps, which means their operating profit doesn't cover their interest. And you can look at big companies like Boeing, like just big companies out there, FedEx, GameStop, that don't cover their interest. And so the more we pour money into companies that don't make money, the slower the growth of the economy. And that's what resulted in our productivity being the slowest in 75 years in May.
yeah, wow.
Crazy.
So I want everybody to check out the movie. I'm going to share the screen right now so you'll know what it's supposed to look like. That's it. Money Game. It's Benjamin Franklin with a mask on. If I saw that, I would probably pick it up immediately, because well, the title, the cover says it all, you know. um we probably won't get into the cast. I just wanted you to take a look at Money Game, and I've got a question that I love to ask my audience, or my guest for my audience, because I have a lot of people that they're just waking up, they're just starting to realize what's going on, and some of us have been watching this for years, you know, kind of come apart. And right now, you know, the big move comes at the end. 90% of the move comes in the last 10% of the time. And for the people that are really seeing this thing pick up and the wheels come off, what is like the first action or two? What should people do right now to brace for impact?
100%. So I would argue that stocks are completely disconnected from fundamentals. So I think we just had a paradigm shift. We shifted from an economy that this 95% of the S&P 500 benefits from a strong dollar with no inflation. Okay, but now we have a weak dollar with inflation, right? So there's only certain so on the one hand, you can buy Tesla that trades at infinite. As a matter of fact, in the when interest rates go negative, the professor in the movie is going to turn and say, when interest rates go negative, my coffee is worth infinite. My desk is worth infinite. My chalkboard's worth infinite. So you're seeing companies like Tesla and Amazon trading infinite. So they're the biggest bubbles you could ever see. On the other side of the market, there's real assets, like oil, like copper, like steel, which I've never seen the companies as cheap as they are. I mean, US Steel right now trades at 1.5 times free cash flow, trailing, not in the future, trailing. Petrobras has a 45% dividend yield. which it's Brazilian. It's a Brazilian oil company. YPF, an Argentina oil company, trades at 1 times earnings, but you can find them in the U.S. Alvintif trades at 3 times earnings. I mean, I've never seen stocks as cheap. I've never seen real assets as cheap as they are. That's the irony. You can buy certain real assets really cheap, but lumber companies. Here's how we do it in the movie, actually. So it's a love story. So James, at the opening scene, you're going to see James hiking the Appalachian Trail with his wife. Unfortunately, she died in the movie, so it's kind of a heartbreak in the movie. And he's totally in love with her, and he leaves her with 2 kids. At the end of the movie, you're going to see he opens a timber operation, and timber prices go through the moon because inflation hits, right? And all of a sudden, he's making a fortune. So we keep saying in the movie, buy real assets, and that's the big message of the movie.
So buy real assets. And I would say for the people that are just starting to kind of figure it out and wake up, and you always thought preppers wore a tinfoil hat and were kind of like, Chicken Little all the time. When you figure out all we're doing is buying a little extra food that we eat anyway, we're buying some real money that only God put in the earth, silver and gold, and just kind of hedging against inflation. And real assets that's a multitude of things, just like you're talking about. And I can't imagine how the movie lays it out. I'm really looking forward to it, Chris. Thank you for coming on and telling us about your movie, man.
No, thanks for having me, Chris. And I'm sure I'll see you some other time in New Orleans.
Absolutely. Thank
Thank you
you.
again.
Guys, have an awesome, awesome day. I'll see you in the next one later.